So, in the world of aviation, the value of an aircraft is not actually only in its performance, but also in its ability to retain value, right? So, having said that, good morning, everyone. My name is Pablo Sanchez, as you can see, ACJ Marketing Director based in Toulouse. And in the next 20 minutes, we're going to be discussing why ACJ are resilient assets to invest in and where these characteristics are coming from. Before going into the residual values, I would like to point out, let's start immersing into what we're doing here. We're proud to say that Airbus is also a proudly Brazilian company with over 1,000 aircraft available in service, supporting 3,000 indirect jobs in 5 primary cities with employing 530 employees. This has been a collaboration of over 45 years, and this has been divided in different segments, such as the commercial, the helicopter business, and the defense business. As far as the commercial business is concerned, there's obviously all the commercial aircraft that you have seen or that you see even at the airport, but also there's an ACJ 319 for the government, for the Brazilian government, and also there's another ACJ 319 Neo, which is being used for a private company. In addition to that, 45 years of Helibras, and my colleagues from Helibras, they will be coming today, I think, as well, to discuss a little bit more about helicopters. But it's an impressive number, over 850 helicopters delivered, and as I was mentioning, in 5 sites in Brazil, so it's considerable. That's why we think we are Brazilian as well. And also the capabilities and defense capabilities, 295, including as well 330 transport aircraft. Let's go now into business aviation. This is actually what we're doing here today in these couple of days to discuss business aviation in Brazil. So just to give you a macro picture, so we're talking about 1,100 in-service business aircraft based in Brazil, and out of these 1,100, we're talking about 80 aircraft that we consider to be long-range, ultra-long-range, and business liners. ACJ comes here as a lineup offers at the end of the top market. And showing you here the fleet, what we offer, so we have on the first line, the single-aisle aircraft, and at the back, the wide bodies. They all have something in common, which is unmatched comfort, right? Efficiency, so you have the Airbus DNA. It makes actually the operating cost being considerably lower. And also the reliability. And reliability is something important today, as we have been hearing about AOGs, etc. But being part of a commercial group for aircraft means that you will benefit and leverage all these benefits from the airliner business into the ACJ world. So there are around 210 aircraft flying in service all over the place. You will see, mostly Europe, Middle East, and Asia, they concentrate most of those aircraft, with the Americas going up. Interesting to see as well that 57% of those aircraft are already 15 years old. That means there is potential for replacement. So what are our customers? Our customers are, I was mentioning before, the Brazilian government, but also governments around the world. Also corporates and private. So it's a very rich customer base, and each specific area is very different from each other. And let me now, as we're going to be talking about retaining value, let me talk about the ACJ 220, because this is a little revolution internally, as this is an aircraft that is coming that we're delivering with the cabin. So not only the green aircraft, but with the cabin, and has a standardized cabin. And this is something that the appraisers and the financial community love, because there is not much room for fantasy and imagination to get, different things in your aircraft that could potentially hit the residual value. So here we have an aircraft that have up to 3 times the space of the traditional business jets, with a very decent range of 12 hours, with a lower operating cost, as I was mentioning before. And the good thing here as well is that up to now, depending, we call it the perfect balance. Why? Let me just paint a little bit of some seconds on this side is because up to now, if you were looking for range and space, this is the below part of the slide, you will probably be going for business or wide-body aircraft. Or if you had a specific budget in mind and a requirement for range, you will go for the traditional business jets. On the other side, you have the budget and space. So you had aircraft that, for example, the 318 and the Lineage, they had the space, they had an interesting acquisition cost, but they did not have the range. And the ACJ220 comes exactly in the middle of those three elements, making it actually the perfect balance in terms of range, as I was mentioning, space, and an interesting acquisition price. Here, just to illustrate that this aircraft out of Sao Paulo can reach easily Europe and the US and Africa. So here I'm going to spend a little bit of time about ACJ's, why ACJ aircraft are a strong investment. So we're going to use this slide, and we're going to be discussing about production, continuous improvement, and the resale market. Let's start with the first one, production. What does it mean? So production meets the customer means that you order, we build. So there is no actually a building up of white tails. It means that the whole process is controlled. There is no overhang of those aircraft available in the market. Also the standardization that I was mentioning, because you will see here, the ACJ220 comes with a catalog, and within that catalog you can move accordingly and choose different layout possibilities, but you remain standardized. So this is a fact that also helps when it comes to pricing this aircraft, but also when it comes to a second life or third life, it retains its value. Also on the ACJ Neos, even though they are more bespoken, we can see a trend that up to 60% of those cabins, they follow the same principle, which is a first area, which is the entourage, for the crew to work, a social area and a private area. So unless there might be some, with some exceptions, normally this is the pattern that is always followed when ACJ Neos are being outfitted. And just to give you an example of, okay, imagine you have an aircraft coming back to a second hand, it's being sold, but you need to do a little bit of refurbishment. So in that case, here, I'm doing a refurbishment of a cabin, which will not cost you more than 10% of the cost of a new cabin. So it's really, really flexible. Something important as well, because you want to have not only the MRO support, but you want to have an outfitters network, which is reliable and first class. And we actually, what we do is we have very good relationships with these outfitters, but we check them on quality and on their financial performance. Having said that, also, there is a possibility also for your customers to choose Airbus as a project manager. So, I was talking about build to order and standardization. Let's talk about continuous improvement. What does that mean? Evolution instead of revolution. It means that you have a consistent product that is being evolving and getting better. So this is the example with the CEO and the Neo, which has many, many benefits in terms of crew training and maintenance intervals, etc. Different than other OEMs that bring potentially every year or every second year a new product to the market, which cannibalize the product before. And this Airbus or this airline DNA has an impact as well on the maintenance interval and cost. Here, for example, as you know, this aircraft has been built for the airline, but it has an utilization which is lower than 1,000 hours. It means that all those replacement and first shop visits will take place very, very far in the future. It means in 25 to 30 years, which means basically never, right? So that means extended time on wings, no costly programs required, no overhaul, and very low time components. Same here for the maintenance intervals I was actually mentioning before. Here, very clear, very simple, and adapted to business aviation. So that means that the technology that Airbus Commercial is developing And this footprint has an impact on efficiency and cost. And this is important when you have an aircraft and you're investing in an aircraft, because you want to have this support also going forward. Also, I need just as a little example on some of the repairs and spares. Here you, I'm just highlighting a few of them. But needless to say, I mean, as these parts are available for the airline every time, everywhere, obviously the prices are going to be quite different of the prices that you probably have seen for other aircraft, business jets aircraft. So, sorry, just moved too quick. No. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, and there's another point in my slide, which is called the resale market, right? So the number of aircraft that are listed in the secondary market. So there is something that we call internally ACJ Easy Start. And at the moment, there are only 2 ACJ 319s available in the market. It means there are not enough for, well, they are not many used aircraft, which means that actually the aircraft have been then utilized and used as per their owner's request. Means that they have not been sold and only many, or not too many, are available. That does have an impact as well, because you are otherwise in competition with used aircraft in the market. And here is something very important, very interesting. What we did is that we have been following the transactions the last couple of years, actually over 10 years. And then we had a look at, well, basically the red line, what you see is what Bank of America once actually came up with, the result of a value depreciation of 2%. So what we did is basically you see the aircraft age at the end of the page, and on the other side the retention value. It means that if you look number 5, it means, and then that means that, and then you see the different points. It means that in those points, in the year 2019, there was a transaction of an aircraft that was 6 years old, and it retained 80% of its value. So it means that everything above the red line means that those aircraft have been sold actually better than what the market expectation had been. And obviously there are a few cases below, because, well, we include in a worst case scenario as well of an aircraft that was not maintained and it was left at an airport for a year without proper maintenance, etc. But overall, we come to the result of 3% value loss per year. And this is something, by the way, that we're doing as well with the ACJ 319s and 320 neos. So, and there's another important point that is coming up. And at Airbus, we are pioneering sustainable aerospace. And this is, actually, you might have seen it, we call it the lasagna, but it's actually the ways to decarbonize. And this is going to have an impact as well in the future. And it's worth having a look at it and thinking about it, because, and I'm going to focus now a little bit on SAF, because this is more than 40%. It has an impact of over 40% of how we are going to decarbonize aviation. And this is going to have an impact in the future as well, when it comes to your used aircraft. So what we have done at Airbus Commercial so far is that we're using SAF for our own operations, which means for delivery flights, test flights, but also on the belugas, which are basically transporting parts from different industrial sites. And we do also offer SAF capabilities to some of our customers as well. At ACJ level, basically what we do is with everything that Airbus Commercial is doing, we can implement, but we are also then focusing in business aviation as a starter. What we're doing as well is that all our aircraft that are being on statics, demo flights, and test flights are being then tanked with SAF. And what we're trying to do as well is to, as you know, SAF is not available everywhere, it's expensive. So what we want to do is basically to work as a catalysator to bring demand and offer at the same level. So we are investing serious amounts of money and working with different companies to make possible that our clients that basically have an ACJ have access to SAF. So overall, just summarizing a little bit what I said, why are ACJs, strong investment and reliable assets to invest in? So production meets customer needs. You order, remember, I built. So there is no white tails. Standardization trends that we see not only with the ACJ220, but also with the other aircraft. Continuous improvement also as well. It means evolution. So there is no cannibalization, there is no new aircraft coming every 2 years that could potentially damage the one before. And leveraging the Airbus DNA to our fleet, because it means that parts, training, service is available everywhere in the world. And strong and robust investment because, as I was saying, as I was showing before on the transaction side, we're coming to a results of around 3%, which is far away from the 6 or 7% that normally traditional business jets would lose. So, having said that, just to finalize, the ACJ220 is coming to Brazil for the first time. Catarina Aviation Show. So my colleague and I, we have boarding passes. If we would be, excited to see you there. The aircraft is going to be there from the 5th to the 7th. And please stay by and say hello and discover the aircraft. Thank you.
Quick question. What is the split between ACJs sold to high net worth individuals and to corporate traditional flight operators?
Right. So basically, you could say that 1/3 of our customer base goes to ultra high net worth individual, 1/3 to corporates, and 1/3 to governments. This is the split. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And outside, coffee hosted by Synerjet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to be around if you have more questions. So.